What is the role of special advisors? If they are specialists in their subject area, how come politicians take them following a reshuffle into a brand new department? Are they just looking at civil servants' work through a political lens, or are they doing the ministerial equivalent of what parliamentary or constituency staff do? George, you spend a lot of time talking to special advisors, as do I. What do they actually do?
Very, very good question. They obviously get mentioned a lot in the media, and I don't think their role is explained very often. It's really to act as a source of political expertise and political intelligence for ministers. You know, if they're contemplating reforms such as, let's say, the means testing of winter fuel payments, they'll say, look. Pensioners get very angry when you take money away from them. Here's some examples from history. Is this something that we think is definitely the right political call? It's also to advise on relations with the party and also with the media. Media interventions in terms of policy announcements, interviews. And obviously you have special advisors with different strengths and different interests. Some are very much focused on the media. That's their expertise. They're really brought in to boost or maintain a cabinet minister's standing in the press. Others have a large degree of policy expertise in their area. But as I say, the first foremost requirement is really being, I think, an astute reader of the political landscape, which is why they will often travel with ministers even as they shuffled from department to department. And it's also important that it's someone the cabinet minister trusts, someone who's loyal to them, someone who they feel comfortable with. And particularly when you're working long hours in government or doing lots of foreign travel, you do form a close professional bond. And that's why cabinet ministers often like to rely on trustworthy and experienced advisors. But it's a demanding job, and that's often why there's also quite a lot of turnover.
Yeah, I asked a number of SPADs, past and present, from different parties, what is your job? And I got a real variety of answers, which I think shows that it's not a set job description. Obviously, as you say, there are ones who focus on policy, there are ones who focus on the media, but the underlying commonality I got from all of them was basically that the British system is quite unusual in the sense that a minister will come in to run a department and, unlike, say, America, will have very little control over who they work with in that department because the civil servants have all been there before. And so SPADs are often, the 2 or 3 SPADs that they'll have are the only people that they will have handpicked themselves. And there's a whole lot of jobs that come with that. Sometimes it's being the minister's number 2 in the sense that there is way too many decisions that will land on their desk, and so sort of going through those and working out, what the minister would say if they were to read that. Sometimes it's a very personal relationship. Sometimes it's about communicating what the minister wants to achieve to the other people who are working in that department who, again, haven't been chosen by them. And it's sort of about having somebody almost as a chief of staff sometimes who really, really understands the way that minister works, what they're trying to achieve, what was in the manifesto, what's in the party's objectives and agenda, which obviously the civil servants can't really help with because they have to be politically impartial, and trying to embed that in a department full of people who 6 weeks before were working for somebody else. But as you say, it's a really intense job. They work all hours. It's a job, I don't know if you've ever thought about it, that I've looked at the people who do it and go, I really admire the work that you do, but I have no desire to ever do that. And of course, if your minister moves, if there's an election and they lose, or there's a reshuffle and they get demoted, or they move into another department and for whatever reason they can't bring you with them, like Dominic Cummings didn't allow Sajid Javid to bring his SPADs with him when he was Chancellor, you can be out of a job really, really quickly, really suddenly.